The topic is how to double or even triple your sales without selling anything. And I've been working in sales for nearly 40 years, depending on what I've been doing along the way. And I'll talk about a few of those things. But what I like to say is I've never sold anything to anybody, but I make it really easy for people to buy things off me. And I'll go through, as we go through this, I'll explain exactly what I am talking about. What I've found in research is 60% of people give up their business within the first 12 months, which is quite a staggering figure. A lot of people will leave a job, they'll start a business, and they will then 12 months later realize that it's not doing what they wanted, and they'll go back to work for somebody else. What they don't realize, it does take 12 months at least to start to get a little bit established, and it needs the work done more so before you jump into the business than when you are in it. And that's something that I help a lot of people do, is set up things while they're earning an income. So when they step into it, they've got 12 months to really focus on how they're going to grow that business through sales. And disappointing figures is, 3 years. And disappointing figures is that the 20% is in the first year, and 60% is within 3 years. It's really quite shocking with those figures. And my passion is to be able to enable people to be as successful as they want to be in their own business and be able to do what they want to do. This is a staggering figure. 1 in 7 women will be homeless by retirement. And that doesn't necessarily mean living on the street, but it means they might be sharing a room in someone else's house. And it can be for a whole lot of reasons, but women often step into their businesses later and then don't have the backing to support themselves. And again, it's something I'm really passionate about. I want people to be successful in what they do. And so we don't have these sort of figures. And if you're in any business, you can, cut costs anywhere along the way, but again, no matter what business you're in, if you're not getting customers, you're not making sales, you don't have income, you don't have a business. The reasons we stay in business or go into our own business, I mean, it's really much easier to be working for someone else, as we know. And the statistics come out that the worst paid people are the ones that's self-employed. But there's reasons that we want to be there, because we want that independence. We want to be able to create a lifestyle that we want and be able to build a business around that lifestyle. 100% of the people I talk to, that's exactly why they go into business. Financial rewards, if you can make it successfully and make it the sales that you want in your business and build the way you want it, then you definitely can live that dream life that you want. Learning opportunities. When you are in your own business, you really have to grow. And I put in that yes there in the chat, if you've doing things now that you didn't ever expect that you would have to do, or you are doing, or you maybe really enjoying doing within your business, because you've had those learning opportunities that you would never have had when you were working for someone else. The creative freedom, and there's just a personal satisfaction that you can talk about that you're working in your own business. Thanks, Jared, for following through on that request for the yep. Appreciate it. For me, this was one of the reasons I went into my own business. Was because I love to travel. I love the capacity to have the finances to do it, and also to go to amazing places around the world and around this phenomenal country that we live in. So we all need a why and why we're doing it. And that's the biggest focus. And when I start working with people, that's what we really focus on, is why are you doing this? What is the point of all the effort you're putting in? What's the purpose behind it? And there's a whole lot of those reasons that I just brought up a minute ago. So what holds people back from success? Fear of rejection, or in sales, it's one of the biggest things I come across all the time. Focus is on the I and not the helping solve problems. That's that fear of rejection. Fear of being pushy. Again, we're making it about ourselves. Not understanding the customer's needs. This is a really big one. We think we know. We think that because we've been doing something for quite a while and we're a technician at it, that we think we know what customers' needs are. But very often we focus on what we're selling or the product we have, and not why people might come to us. we don't know how to overcome objections. There's a really good, it's not, I'm not a script person, and I know some salespeople are, they'll have some scripts for you and you can rattle them off. I'm more about, let's ask the right questions to find the right answers. That way there won't be the objections, because people will really understand that you understand them. And that's a much better way than, that way you're not being pushy, you're helping people out. Lacking confidence is a biggie for people not following through with sales. Ineffective communication, I'm not sure what to say. Lack of confidence, well, twice up there because it's so important. And misreading signals. One of the topics that I teach on is NLP, neuro-linguistic positioning or programming. And it's about how people communicate in a certain way and being able to figure out from what they say and how they say it is what they really mean. It's such a fun thing. I find it quite intriguing working with people that way. There's a whole lot of reasons that might hold people back from achieving those successes. Some people I worked with, they had a lot of those problems. They lacked the confidence. They really didn't want to be pushy. They had that real sense of rejection. And we were able to work through a whole lot of techniques so that they realized that they weren't selling anything. They were helping people solve their problems. And it really made a big difference for Jan and Ray. For me, I've had a long career doing a whole lot of different things. And I think one of the hardest sells that I ever had was when I was an aerobic instructor. I was that for 10 years. And getting people to put their shoes on, basically, and get into the gym. But, sometimes I had some of the biggest classes that they'd ever seen. And again, it was working on solving the problems for people. I was a sales rep, general manager of sales, and business owner, as I'm now a little bit more. I started as a checkout chick, and within a couple of months was having the highest sales. I don't know whether anyone remembers the big Katie's store that used to be in Queen Street. Maybe before it was even the Queen Street Mall. That's a while ago. When I was teaching aerobics, as we used to have amount of people in the class, and what I did, instead of getting paid the usual amount per class, I asked to be paid for how many people turned up for the class. And so it was a lot more successful than just getting the regular amount. I used to sell gym wear, and this is in the 80s, early 80s, and I'd sell up to $2,000 worth of gym wear a night. It's the time of the bike pans and G-strings in the gyms, and it was just building relationships and going back on a monthly basis. When I started as a rep, I increased the sales in that territory by over 800%. So I was selling over $400,000 worth of first aid products. We're talking Band-Aids here, a year. And then when I moved into the GM role, the business was doing $3 million, and I took it to $10 million, and that was through GFC. I had 20 sales reps working for me. They were all on commission only, and they were highly, highly successful. And so some of the companies that I got on board, actually got every single mining company in the Bowen Basin buying their first aid from us, and their drug testing and all of the things, safety products that they needed. So that was, a real feather in the cap. The reason I'm telling you all this, I've been doing it for a while, and I've really worked at the coalface. I've done the door knocking. I know what it takes to get to a space where you ask the right questions to get the right answers. I'll probably repeat this a lot throughout. Ask the right questions to get the right answers so that you can help people the right way and get them to take action, which is the important factor. A few things. I've written a couple of books. One is Good Girls Who Sell. The other one is Being Unstoppable. And for those that stay on to the end, I'll send you a soft copy of that. So let me know which one you want. Do you want to pop in there, which one you want, or you might want to wait for a little bit further along and let me know. Koshi's Business Builders asked me to contribute some authored pieces to them as well. So I've done a few things, and I've hosted podcasts for about 7 years. There's a few different things that I've got accumulated, and Brett mentioned it when we first came on. There's been a few awards lately, which I'm pretty chuffed about as well. All right. If you've ever felt that you're doubting yourself, that you've missed out on a sure sale, you know, you think I've had a conversation with someone and how come they go to someone else? That, and then you doubt, well, what have I done wrong? And this is definitely for you. If you are in a multi-level marketing business and you have, you've gone to all your friends and family and you're not sure where to go next, this is definitely for you. Nobody's put in there what book they want. Interesting. So we don't know what questions to ask to get the person across the line. As I mentioned, that's something that we will discuss on ways to do that. This one is usually a big one that I find people will say to me all the time. They're sick and tired of giving so much away, and they just feel like they're just absolutely wasting their time, and then the person doesn't buy anything. Hate it when you're trying to sell and just feeling pushy, and the market is still unpredictable. And thank you very much, mainstream media, for talking it down all the time. And it makes people hesitant in buying. So I want you to put whatever number or multiple numbers, please, in the chat now, from 1 to 6. Is anything there that you can relate to that is, when you're coming into selling, the things, that's definitely what I'm thinking and what I'm doing. I'm not getting anything in the chat from the books or that. So is everything working still? Oh my God. Everyone can hear me okay still? Yep, good. Okay, yep. Fabulous. You're there. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Thanks for responding. I can hear you, but can't think of what book. Okay, good job. I might owe you a couple of books anyway, John. You send you both. All right, so we're going to go through 5 steps here, and we're going to go through them fairly quickly. I hope you've got a pen and paper. As I mentioned earlier, there are opportunities for note-taking. The first one is how to step out and get really uncomfortable. The second one, I'll talk about your own personal power. The third one is how you can express your expertise. Fourth one is how you attract and engage people. And the fifth one is how you get results, how you kick goals. Well, let's get started. Again, remember, if you've got any questions, jot them down on a piece of paper and please ask me at the end. The 2 points that we're going to cover in this step 1, I'm going to talk about not listening to others. That's sometimes our biggest mistake. And then how can we get over ourselves? And this is the ones about being pushy and not feeling uncomfortable. Often when we step into our own business, we are affected by what other people have to say. Are you sure you're going to earn enough money? Is that a good idea? Oh, goodness, you've got family to support. Why would you think that people would want that? That's, and usually it's for our family that will do that. And not because they're being cruel, it's because they're concerned for us. But when we start listening to those voices, we start listening to that unconscious voice or that subconscious voice in our head. And that can be our biggest detriment to our success. Because if we start believing it, then we're going to really hold ourselves back. I love this quote by Wayne Dyer: "What other people think of me is none of my business." If you can remember that, I think that's such an important factor. You're the one that needs to build you up, and there's different ways of doing that through affirmations. I was working with somebody today because I coach in professional speaking, public speaking as well, and I was working with this person today who gets very anxious, and we talked about doing different affirmations, and it sounds simple, but it really is effective. And talking about, this is going to be a great meeting. I am going to be successful. My business is going to work out the way I want it to work out. I'm going to live the life of my dreams. And that's what we do. We want to follow our dreams, because your self-worth is not defined by your approval rating. That's a really important factor. It's so hard because we're so conscious of what other people, the input from other people, especially the people that are important to us in our lives. But everyone has different dreams than others. And some people are they can continue working for someone else and be really happy doing that. I know I did that a long time in my career, but I always had this little side gig going on for something, from in my 20s selling Tupperware on the side of working full time, to different roles along the way, because there's always that little, I just want something more. I just want the freedom to be able to have the life I want to live. So be able to follow your dreams is just not listening to those other voices. Imagine if these people did listen to those voices. I mean, Fred Astaire, I think everyone might know who that is that's on here. Maybe a couple of you won't. Was told he can't sing, can't act. He was balding and he could only dance a little bit. If you haven't ever seen that man dance, do so. It's like he flies. Stephen King was told he couldn't write. Vincent van Gogh was told he can't paint. Thomas Edison had told that it wouldn't work. Abraham Lincoln, he was uneducated. Einstein, they thought he was mentally handicapped. Do I say any more? Elvis, you can't sing. And Michael Jordan, he was told he would never be a basketball player. And this is how many times he failed. Imagine that. Just got a bit of background noise from someone. I just might get you to, I think it's just pop your microphones off. That would be great. Thank you. Yeah, Michael Jordan, on 26 occasions, missed the winning game shot. So imagine if he had have held on to that failure. We don't want to do that. We want to have that full belief in ourselves and, like these, achieve the results that they have achieved. Second part of that is to get over yourself. So it sort of flows on. And don't listen to yourself. Don't listen to other people, and don't listen to that negative voice that is in the back of your mind. One of the reasons that we feel pushy, well, I do this as an exercise when I run my one-day training workshop. Talk to people about why they don't follow up, why they don't cold call, why they don't ask for sales. And that usually it will start with the word I. I don't want to make someone, I don't want to feel pushy. I don't want someone not to like me. And that really comes down to your ego. So you're more concentrated on how you're feeling as opposed to the problem you might solve with your product or service. This is a really big one, and this is a really big takeaway. I want you to grab onto it, that it's when the focus is going out onto solving a problem, then that I feeling won't come into it, and you won't think you're being pushy because you know you're solving problems. So we want to get rid of the ego. So you're not selling, you're solving problems. So really adopt that problem-solving approach. These are really good points to take note of. I don't care, photograph, whatever you do take note of them. Active listening. This is such an important factor because you'll hear the words that people say, and they're the words that you attach to what your solution for them is. Really understanding your product or service, knowing how to handle objections, and then just have that positive mindset and self-belief. The first part here, don't listen to other people, don't listen to yourself. Well, and one of the ladies I worked with, Nadine, that was her biggest thing. She just really held herself back because she just had no belief and no confidence in herself. And that little subconscious voice was the one that was determining her results until we worked on what was holding her back and why there was fear around the sales. And she had an incredible Airbnb business where she managed other people's properties. It was quite phenomenal, the growth. She could do it. She just needed to believe she could do it. So one thing that you might be able to do tomorrow that's going to step you out of your comfort zone. Have a think about that. Vincent, go. Thanks, John. All right, number 2. So I want you to write that down. What can you do tomorrow? Just think of something that you can put down. If you want to pop it into the chat box, that's great as well. The second point, we're going to talk about getting clear and set points. Not sure whether you've done much with set points before. You need to know where you're going. You need to know what you want to achieve and to be very clear with it. There's a whole lot of points to be very clear with. I'm talking about if you make a phone call to a prospect, be very clear about what you want. Do you want to make a phone call? Do you want to make an appointment? Or do you want to sell them something? Be very clear on it before you get on the phone. Be very clear about where you want to take your business, what results you want to achieve in your business. Be very clear on your pitch so that you know who you're pitching to, you know who your target is. Otherwise, like that picture, you're going to miss everything. And talking about setting goals, who sets goals here? Who writes down their goals is what I'd like to know in the chat, please. Who writes down their goals, and who just looking at the chat at the moment for the other things. And I'll save it as we go. So I want to know who do most of the time. Beautiful. So writing down your goals, because if you don't write them down, they are just a wish. 14% of people have a plan, but they don't write it down. So again, that's the wish part. So 83% of people don't even set goals. I don't know where I'm going, and I probably won't. I'll get exactly there. No idea. So that's what happens when you don't set goals. And the goal could be, a business goal, it could be a financial goal, it could be a health goal, it could be a fitness goal, it could be whatever that goal is, but they need to be written down. And only 3% of people have goals written down. And Harvard did a study many years ago to the success rate of people who wrote their goals down. And it was outstanding, the figures of how much more successful the 14% were over the 83%, and how much more successful that 3% were over the 14%, because they wrote their goals down. That's so important, and to revisit them. And when I work with clients, we set 90-day plans as well. So those plans are the steps that get you along the way to be able to achieve those goals. There's a formula that I like to use, which I'll share in a moment. There's benefits of goal setting. You're really clear on your purpose. A lot more productivity, because this is where I want to go. I want to achieve that. You do attract a higher peer group. You'll notice the people you're hanging out with are the ones that are also focused and determined to get where they want to go. It increases your confidence, because every time you achieve a little thing, a milestone along the way, you feel pretty cool. All right, this is the formula that I use to write goals. It is the CREATE formula. A little bit different. I think most people would be probably, does a business plan work as goals? It does a bit, Jared. That's a great question. Having a business plan is absolutely vital. No more than 1 or 2 pages is all you'll ever need for a business plan. But having goals, getting very specific. So when I'm working with people, we work on a formula to write the goal out, and that way we pop it in our timeline, and it's quite amazing how we actually reach them. But so a goal needs to be very clear and concise, quite realistic. A lot of people overestimate what they can do in 12 months, but underestimate what they can do in 3 years. Ecological, meaning, is it good for you? Is it good for the people around you? Is it good for the environment? If you say, I want to earn $1 million this year, and you need to be working 80 hours a week, it's not very ecological, because it's not helping the people, not helping you, your health, not helping the people around you. Probably you write it as now, as if it's happened at the time. So if I was saying it is now the 1st of January 2025, so it's as now, and this is what I've achieved towards what you want. And this important factor is, how do you know? What evidence do you have that you've achieved those goals? And to be able to write that down. And this, when we work together going through all this, it makes a ton of differences to how you achieve those goals. The number 2 of this is set points. I'm not sure whether you've ever seen that. Marcy Smirnoff's got a great book called Happy for No Reason, and it talks about a set point of happiness, but it's usually determined by our reticulated activating system. Some people will just talk about the RAS, and they won't explain what it is. A simple explanation for now, because we're time poor, is if you've bought a new car, so you've gone out and bought a new Ram. Let's go big. You bought a new Ram, but you sort of really, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you drive it out the lot, every second car that you see is a Ram. You didn't really notice them before. It's because now that becomes your conscious space. And what happens when you become conscious of something, so becoming conscious of being positive, being, knowing that how to have the conversations, being positive of getting good results, because the RAS is expecting that, and how you perceive yourself and how you project yourself, then you get those results. So the reticulate activating system is a very real thing. It's a lot more scientific and in depth than what I've explained, but it does show you what you are focused on. So if you're focused on the negativity, then that's what you'll get. If you're focused on the positivity, then that's what you'll get. You'll have the good conversations with people. Things will go the way that you expect them to go, because that's where your focus is. So number 2, what can you do tomorrow to step into your personal power? About you. What can you focus on? Can you write a goal? I'm just reading the things in the chat. Thank you. Yeah, so can you write goals if you haven't written them, or do you need to review your goals? Because that's an important factor. It's one thing to write them, and to go back and review them as well and see how you're going at. Have you got a 90-day plan so that you've got the steps in place to achieve those goals? Step number 3 is how to express your expertise. And the first one is to tell stories and then define your USP. I'll go into that a little bit more. Telling stories. This is one of my favorite things I do when I work with people. Is people go, I haven't got a story. Well, after we spend a little while together, I'm able to pull those stories out and help you figure out how that story is relevant to what you're doing and why it would be interesting to someone else, so that they can connect with you to see that you understand them, because you're on the same page as them. So that the personal story and anecdotes, and if you've noticed, I've already told quite a few, is to have a pile of these anecdotes that are relevant to the point that you want to get across. We've loved stories from the time that we're children. I listen to books continuously, and particularly love either fiction or non-fiction, but I love the storytelling books, and so will your audience. So learning how to tell your story, pull it apart and tell it well will really attract the right audience. And that leads back to your why, what's your purpose and what's your vision, and being able to articulate that well with your story. Then again, you're going to really engage the people who need your product and services, and they will resonate with you. You will build rapport with those people. So figuring out your why, your purpose, and your vision is absolutely vital. For me, the opportunities that storytelling and speaking has given, I've spoken in about 8 countries around the world. I spoke on a cruise ship going through the Inside Passage through Alaska, and in Japan, and across the US and different places. Through speaking, through my podcast, I speak at a lot of business events. Being able to do that well will give you opportunities. Learning how to speak well and then tell stories will set you apart from other people who can't do that, who can't get in front of audience. Once you're in front of the audience, you are the expert in the room, and that will draw people to you, to your product and service. Defining your USP, or your unique selling proposition. What is your unique selling proposition? Do you know what your unique selling proposition is? That's what we want to be. The world's full of beautiful people, but we want to be able to stand out amongst them. We want to be seen as that go-to authority. When I run through my branding program, that's what we do, is how can you get seen amongst everybody else? And that's what we want to be able to do with that. What makes us unique compared to every other person out there or business out there that's doing a similar thing. And that's what unique selling proposition is. There's the customer wants and what you do well, and it's that little sweet spot in the middle that you need to be able to articulate well. What is it that makes you unique? And again, when I do this, pulling stories or you work through programs, there's parts of it I've got in there that will help pull all this out, and you'll be amazed at what comes out that you go, I didn't think that was unique. This is what I get all the time. I didn't think that was unique. without realizing it, that other people just don't do it like that. So finding that thing that's for you, that's unique. All right, to create your USP, you really need to figure out what's your value proposition. Be very clear about what your benefits that you offer and the solutions to people's problems. Know your target audience. One of my little pet hates is when people, I sort of say, well, who's your customer? And I go, well, everybody. It's quite likely, depending on what you do, that maybe everybody or most people could use your service or product. But that's not your target audience. And when you work it out, and there's ways to do that, is to really nut it down. There's ways to develop what your niche is. So who am I going to target? I have a couple of different niches. And so but I don't have the same marketing conversation with both of them. They're quite different, the marketing conversations, depending on where I am and who I'm speaking to at the time for that niche. And I also have avatars in those. So the specific type of person that I want to deal with, very down to, one of my favorite customers, I want more of them. I want people exactly like them who are prepared to pay me because they see the value in what I offer. That's what I want. And that's what you should want as well. So knowing who that avatar is, and then you tailor that USP for them. And crafting a clear message, getting your pitch right, and I help people set up LinkedIn profiles. So getting the pitch right on LinkedIn profiles, getting a pitch right when you're at a business meeting, you're standing up and delivering it so that people really have this clear idea on exactly what they would buy from you, not what you sell, but what they would buy from you and why. Talk about, where are we? LinkedIn. This is one of the clients I work with. She's based in not in Queensland where I am. And she had nothing on her LinkedIn profile. She had 5 connections, and we started working about 12 weeks ago. Do you know what she does now? We crafted that so that everyone else would know exactly what she does. And her company has had a 30% increase in Google, I'm going to say reviews, it's not the right word, in Google requests coming through their website. And the only thing that they can put it down to is her LinkedIn profile. They've done no extra marketing. So that's how powerful it is to get the words right. Everyone know what she does? You got to understand? Yeah. It's clear, isn't it? And that's how clear you want to be able to do it. And she's got that in 222 characters. To clearly articulate why someone would want to deal with you or what. So how can you express your expertise a little bit clearer? What can you do that will help you be seen with your unique selling proposition? All right, step number 4, why people will buy from you and how to overcome objections. How are you going so far? Have you learned what's been your favorite, or what have you takeaways from what we're doing? I'll just have a drink of water. If you can pop that in the chat, that would be excellent. What's something that you've been thinking about that you going, oh, I need to think about that, or I need to do that, or all of it. Thanks, Karen. Need to be more proactive and define the customer use. And mostly writing goals. Why not? Goals should be for the next 90 days. Yes, that's a really important factor, Jared, knowing how to break that down, because we sometimes have so many things to do, it becomes quite overwhelming and it's really hard to take action. But when you break things down, then you know that's my priority for the next 90 days. And you'll be amazed at the results that you can achieve from that. All right, step 4, why do people buy? Well, there's a few reasons. The first main reason is they need or want something. And I've got a whole lot of things that they would want it for. So what are you doing? Are you solving problems? Are you improving efficiency? Helping them achieve their goals? To demonstrate social influence? To learn? Sometimes we just buy things for the price and we don't even want it, but it just looked like a good price at the time. I know I did something like that last night where the thing was only $19, but then US, so it ended up being $26, but hopefully we've got a need for it in the future. Just seemed like a good price at the time. You know, that whole thing, the time runs out if you don't take action. A lot of people buy to be socially responsible. So people buy because they need and want. And I'll tell you a story about why. There is a picture of some winter boots here. If you've heard the story, if you've been on before, you may have heard it. We travelled to Norway in winter 2015, and we were going to see the Northern Lights because you go in winter. I had seen at Aldi there was these winter boot things, and I thought, oh, I don't need those. I already had some hiking boots. And I thought, I'll just have 2 layers of thick socks. What I learned very quickly from the locals is you don't wear thick socks, you wear thinner socks, and you let the air around your shoes heat it up, because my feet froze. I was freezing for, we were away. Went to Turkey, a few other places where it was snowing as well. And we were away for a few weeks, but my feet were freezing like the whole time. So when we came back the next winter, Aldi had the fur-lined boots on sale again. I bought them. I haven't used them since. We haven't been anywhere that it's been that cold that there's any need for them at all. But I had created a need for them. So, you know, sometimes people don't recognize they have a need for it unless we deliver our message in a way that if someone had said to me and told me about what was happening in Norway in winter, I mean, I should have figured it out, then I would have bought the boots beforehand. And that's what we want to be able to do. But apart from need, people buy from you because they trust you. So whether they've seen you all over social media. I had someone the other day drove from Scarborough in north side of Brisbane, right over the north side, to the southeast side of Brisbane where I was at an expo, just to get some things from me because they'd been following me for quite a while, and stalking, they called it, and they wanted to meet me in person and then follow through with some other training and some ideas. So they trusted me because they'd seen me around. And the other thing is, do you provide value in what you do? Is your offer of value to somebody else? Not necessarily the dollar value, which is important, but a value to them to solve all those problems that we just talked about in the needs and the wants. And remember, whatever you're thinking, anything, keep thinking this in your head. Features tell, benefits sell. You can tell somebody that what you do, but it's the benefit to them that'll sell them on the idea. Create the picture, tell the story. Step 4, we're still overcoming objections. I talked about not really being objections if you ask the right questions and listen well. One of the topics that I teach that I don't know a lot of other people are teaching at all is called spiral dynamics. And it is about value systems. So it's a different way of looking. I do other personality profiling, and for those that get the Good Girls to Sell book, you'll see that there's some different personality profiling in it. There is more of stuff about spiral dynamics, but when we work through this in the training modules and the one-day workshop, really go into what sort of questions you can ask to get the answers you want for where somebody is sitting at that particular time in their value system, so you can hit the mark. And we all can change in our values as to what's happening on a certain day. So sometimes it's important that we might follow rules, and other times it's not so important that we push boundaries. Other times it might be important that we include everyone else in the workforce. And knowing, is that a priority? What's the priority for this person? Then knowing how to have that conversation. It's a great topic. You look it up and do a little bit of research on it. it is one of those ones that once you understand how to ask those questions to figure where someone is sitting on that spiral at that particular time, then it really does help you understand how to direct your conversation so that they will hear you and they'll recognize that you've got something that'll solve their problem. And some of the things that when you are with somebody and they're talking about what their needs are, this is one of the best questions. Can you tell me more about that? And just wait. And what they'll do is they'll explain more about it, and you listen well and figure out how you can help. Another question that you could ask somebody, depending on the situation. So how do you think things got to this point? And some of these will really you'll resonate with you, I guarantee. And others you'll go, well, that's not sort of my question, but that one was. And how soon can we meet to discuss the problem and how we can best respond to it? So we want to move forward on things. Now, the first question I asked was, it's a closed question. It could have a yes or no, but nobody's going to really say no to that. They'll go into a story with it because it's it's soft. How is a great way to ask an open question where someone is going to have to give you an answer to it, not just a closed question with a yes and no. So think about things that you might be able to answer. In the modules, there's about 30 of these different questions, and as I said, some will really resonate with what you could use. So that's a good starting point. And in my book, there's different questions, but it's more, again, is how to find problems when I talk about it, and that's good girls do so. So what can you do to attract and implement new ways to attract and engage prospects? You know, the first thing I'm going to say is start listening to people. Really start listening and hear what they have to say. Don't start forming solutions. Listen to their problems. The last one, step 5, kick goals. We're going to talk about pitching, how to embrace a follow-up, and how to take action. The simplest formula for pitching, look, you go to a lot of networking events, and everyone has their own idea of what a formula for a pitch should look like, how to get the message across quickly and easily. This is the simplest one. 3 points to it. Why this? Why is this what you've got to offer important? Why you? Why are you the expert in this? It could be, I've been doing this for so many years. It could be, I've developed a new way of doing it. What it could be, you know, as I gave you my whys right at the beginning. And it took a business from $3 million to $10 million during GFC. So I can build on, depending on what I'm pitching. If I'm pitching about public speaking training, then I represented Australia in a speaking contest and coached 2 international speaking winners. So you'll have your own things that'll say why you, why is it important they work with you, and why is it important they make a decision now. And that's the thing, you know, with the sales. And obviously I've been talking about modules, and I've been talking about the different programs I run and everything. And this is why it's important now. I mean, a lot of us, I find people do the same thing over and over again and just not changing the results they're getting. So that's part of it. But that is the simplest pitch that you'll ever use. Why this, why you, why now? And then a call to action. What do you want people to do? Okay. That I can work with people in half an hour. We've got nailed out about half a dozen different pitches for them. All right. Step 5, embrace the follow-up. The follow-up statistics will blow your mind. They are quite, people just don't follow up. Who follows up? Pop in the chat if you follow up and how many times you might follow up somebody. And don't be shy doing that. Sometimes. So one of the ways to follow up is definitely ask permission to follow up. All the ones I've closed, I followed up. Does that count? Yeah, it does. If that's a very good point, John. The ones you followed up, you close. Yes, most of the time. The first thing is to ask for permission to follow up. Follow up in a few days' time. Because when you've spoken to somebody, you've really laid the groundwork. I hated it when somebody would not follow up and one of my reps, and then they go, they went and bought these defibrillators somewhere else. I'm like, well, did you follow up? Oh, no, I just sort of left it with them because I thought I explained it. But what you've done is open their idea to the idea of having a defibrillator, and then they've gone and bought them somewhere else because someone else came along and said, hey, buy this. Agree on a time to follow up. Do not say, I'm just following up. And who's guilty of that? I think that everyone would be guilty of that at sometimes. Weekly decision making. Yeah, you need to make it really interesting. And if you've had enough conversation with someone, again, it's very much you've listened to them, you know what their problems were, you've given them the quote, whatever you've done, whatever works for you, and then the opportunity then to follow up. So if I was saying, hey, Karen, I know when we were talking, you were really keen to take your business to the next level. This is the time I'm reaching out now. I said I would call in this certain time. So reminding them why it's important for them to have that conversation with you, rather than saying, hey, I'm just following up. Remind people what it was important about, why they got the quote in the first place. We put solar on our roof. Got 3 quotes. They came after hours. It was very expensive. It was before they they were giving them the things, the rebates back, but it was before they went down in price. 3 quotes, basically the same. We didn't know who we were going to get it from. There wasn't a lot of dollars difference in it. It was a $10,000 sale. And Jared should have called me. It's a few years ago now, Jared, but yes, that was the point. 1 followed up. So they got the sale. The others left money on the table. This is what happens. You spend a lot of time putting out propositions and quotes and talking to people, talking about their needs, and then not following up. Your money's left on the table. 44% of people give up after the first call. Okay, I've done that once, enough. The average person makes 2 attempts at following up. 80% of sales require 5 follow-up phone calls or more. So we want to be persistent. We don't want to be a pest, but we do want to be persistent. I sold a couple $100,000 worth of defibrillators in 12 months it took me. And the statistics are 30% of people to take 12 months to make a decision. This was a government department. Every 2 weeks, I gave her a call. They were not going to forget me. That was for sure. Taking action. Nothing happens. You can come to the webinars. You can go do training. You can do everything out there. You can do half these things, but nothing happens unless you take action. That's the important factor. Just going to save my chat again. Okay. And a lot of us think that we have time to do things and go, I'll do it myself. And then it's a bit of then when I get the results, things rush through. I love this. It's procrastinator's clock. It is important to take action when the opportunities arise. That's probably one of the things that I've been most successful in, whether it's buying things or selling things. It's taking action when there was opportunities to connect with the right people, learn the right information, hook up with the right coaches at different times throughout my career, whatever it is, it's right time for that. So what can you do that's going to take action to get more of those results that you want? And it could be, the follow-ups. It's the more persistent with the follow-up. If they aren't going to give me a sorry I bought from that guy, I should keep at them. Yeah, John, well, apparently that's what it is. 30% of people take 12 months to make a decision. So definitely. So what can you do to kick goals? All right. Wow, we've covered the 5. And what the first one here is step out, get uncomfortable. Don't listen to yourself. Don't listen to others. Own that personal power. So thinking about your RAS and what you're projecting out there, how you express your expertise, how are you going to attract and engage the right audience that you want, and then definitely following up and taking action on it. So that's the 5 things that the points we've done. I thank you for being on. I'm going to just run through. I've been talking about the programs. I hope you've sort of interested to see what it is. I'll run through that now, and I will, and then we'll go to any questions afterwards. It's a sales mastery program, and it is a step-by-step instruction program. And it really does make it, the results people have had on this program has been quite staggering, because they've worked through it, and it starts with the most basic points. And there's 7 modules in the program, and it really is starting with basics, getting that why, that purpose, everything in place, and then from there everything flows. Building that confident mindset, so you're never going, oh, am I being pushy? I don't. The fear of rejection. I've got a whole lot of ways, whether through social media or different ways that you can stand out, make you quite unique, and then create that winning formula that is for you in your business, so that you can apply it and adapt it, and it'll work personally for you. How to create raving fans. We don't just want customers. We want people who are going to be out there telling everybody else about us as well. And that's such an important factor, that so much of our business comes from referrals or comes from people who know people. And that's what we want to be able to do, is get a lot more of that. We want to build a brand to trust, as the reason people buy from us, remember, from need or want, from trust, and they find value in what they offer. And then I'll teach a whole lot of tips on how to follow up and get that story right. Remember, I won't be teaching scripts. Because you get stuck if you get stuck on scripts. What I'll be teaching is how to ask the right questions to get the right answers, so that you can deliver something that people will go, yes, that's definitely what I want. All of the value of those modules together are $2,287. One of the ladies I work with, Wendy, had a print business. She had no idea about selling, terrified of it, and she ended up sacking her salesperson, and just went out and did it herself. And again, she didn't go out selling; she just went out solving problems. And what the modules are, there's 7 training modules, but you also get 12 months direct access to me. You can just email me and ask me questions anytime. And I've got a whole lot of resource material as well. So I'll be able to send that, so you've got something really tangible as well as the modules to work through with other ideas. All of that is valued at $2,629. I mentioned Jay and Ray at the beginning. They succeeded in reaching their $75,000 objective, and they won this award, went to Vegas and got the award. Yeah, it says Vegas. Yeah, won their award. Very excited. So if you're sort of thinking about it, I want to give some extra bonuses, because there's some really cool stuff on here as well. The reason I put this picture here is because, I've worked in training people for over 30 years. Let's just go with that. And I find and some of those people still today are doing what they were doing the same way they were doing it back then, achieving the same results. And most of them are working pretty hard and pretty long hours. And that's okay. And I used to try and, because I just want people to succeed. So I used to try and really encourage them to work with me. But what I found, that they weren't the right people anyway. I want the people who are prepared to go, I'm going to put the work in and I'm going to make a difference. And then when they do, I give so much more of myself, and to be able to enable them to do that. And that's the people I want to work with. A little goldfish that's going out by himself and putting the work in, not just prepared to do the same thing over and over again. But there's some bonuses. You get a hard copy of my book, Good Girls Do Sell. So if you decide to join the program, I'll send you a soft copy of the other one, and you can have a hard copy of this one. The second bonus is you get workbook and personalized action plan. Action plan is step by step, and it also The bonus on that now as well is the 90-day plan, how to work through a 90-day plan. So you get the workbook, you get the action plan, and then you get the 90-day plan on top of that as well. And it helps with your social media, how to plan out your social media so that you're not wasting time doing the things that are not a benefit for you, but you're only focused on the things that you're getting results, and you can do them really quickly, and you can chunk out work so it's easier done. But this is a real big bonus. You get to spend 2 hours with me, and anything that you're working through that you may be struggling with, we'll have a Zoom call and we can work through that for you. So that's personalized coaching session with me. So what you get is the 7 modules, the 12 months unlimited email access, my copy of my book, the workbook and action plan plus the 90-day plan bonus, the 2 hours with me, and all of that adds up to $4,016 together. But you know you're not going to pay that because that's what you don't do on these things, these webinars. And what I do is I run 4 of these webinars a year, 2 sales ones and 2 branding ones. And the offers go to the people that are here because you make the effort to turn up. And so can you get good at selling any other way? If you've been doing it for a while, you probably realize that it can be really tricky, especially not feeling comfortable. But you can pay companies, big companies. And I know over my period of time, I paid, hundreds of thousands of dollars for coaching, and it's definitely got me to where I am today. But you don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be paying that sort of amount. That's not why I'm here doing this. I want things to be affordable. I spent years learning, but you don't have to because I've prepared it all in advance. Why am I doing the offer? I just like people talking about me. It helps me win awards. No, that's being now myself coming out. It actually does, though. It's quite amazing when there's more people talking about you all the time. And the more people talk about me, the more people that come to me. And again, you made the time to be here. It's really cool. It's really boring to talk. You're talking to yourself. So that's $4,016 worth of value. The whole lot is $657, and that includes GST. That's all that is tonight. And you can go to that. I forgot to put the QR code. They're so easy now with QR codes, aren't they? That's the email address on that. Cool. Is to go to that directly. But I'm going to do something else, which I only do for the people that are on here, is a super bonus, which is very, very cool. I run a in-person 1-day sales mastery workshop. I've mentioned the workshop a couple of times throughout. I'm based in Southeast Queensland. If you can get here in person, that's better, but it doesn't matter because we can do it online. You can join into the sales mastery workshop online. So it's a 1-day, and it's an intensive 1 day. It is valued at $767, and I'm going to give that to you for free. If you join this program, you get to attend that for free. Just repeating that. You join the program for, what was it? $657. Oh, it's a risk-free trial as well. And yep, $657. That's available tonight. So just use that link. And I can pop it in the chat when we finish too, if you haven't got it. It just goes straight to PayPal. So that's all of that for $657. So let's go through it again, what you get. You get the 7 modules. You get the 12 months unlimited email access, hard copy of my book, workbook and action plan, and 90-day plan as well. 2 hours coaching sessions, which my suggestion is work through quite a few of the modules first, and then we can book in the coaching sessions. You can have access to the modules forever. And I've had people that have changed businesses and gone back and done them again when they've gone into a different business. And you've got 12 months to take up the coaching session and the 1-day masterclass. So even if that 6th of October is not fitting, there'll be a date early next year. My suggestion is to do it as soon as you possibly can, and the 1-day sales masterclass. So valued at $5,351, and that is all of yours for, what have we got? Yeah, where is it? $657. So all of that together, I'll go back to what it is again, because I keep getting people come to it and they go, what was it again? All of those things valued at $5,351 for $657. And that is for you tonight. You can go online and find some of this on my website. You'll never get that 1 day free on the website unless you are on a module with me now.